Hello everybody. So, second recording of the day. This one is going to be a Katsuki Bakugou X villain listener, since I'm reading it for you all. I haven't found any haiku ones yet. I'm going to be looking for them after I finish this. I have although found a Zuki one. I have not read through it yet because it is very long and I found it in the middle of class. I will probably read it tonight and record it tomorrow morning, most likely. It's very long though, so it might have to wait until the afternoon because I don't know how much time I will have to actually record it. I will try just stocking up on recordings during the weekend, so that way if something happens where I'm not able to post, I can just post those pre-recordings. That's my stomach. Okay. I hope you all enjoy. I started crying while reading this. I always cry though, so it might just be me, but I started crying while reading this. It's pretty angsty. Okay, well, let's get into it. Reader's quirk, shadow control. Obviously, you can control shadows, make them into weapons, shields, armor, etc. However, when there's too much light, it limits your abilities, or makes your quirk entirely useless. You've grown up with an unfortunate childhood, one full of running, hiding, and bad decisions. You were raised as a villain, and necessarily, you were still one today. But you knew for a long time that what you did wasn't okay. However, you were terrified of what your parent or parents would do if you were to leave. They cared for you and your safety, but nonetheless still terrifying. Villains that could hunt you down or pay someone to. Your villain identity was unknown to the world, and you didn't have some sickening appearance that made you want to hide. You were rather average in your opinion, yet managed to catch the attention of a certain top pro hero, Katsuki Bakugou. I'm going to turn the volume down a bit because I feel like it is very loud. Sorry about that. He was your boyfriend of 2 years now, and he had asked you to start living with him. This immediately presented a lot of problems. You were an adult and no longer lived with your parents. That wasn't the issue, but the real problem was still hiding the fact that you were a villain. You'd run into him while doing villain work several times, but never actually fought or even talked to him. He never knew it was you, and that would be a lot harder to hide if you lived with him. You couldn't resist the look in his face when he asked, though. It wasn't threatening, rather it was more pleading. His eyes alone gave away the fact that he couldn't stand being apart from you every day, and wanted to be able to see you from whenever he woke up to when he fell asleep. You said yes, of course. A pleading Bakugou was a hard sight to deny. My throat is dry. I need to drink water after this. Ugh, I really need to actually keep myself hydrated for these videos. Today, Bakugou had come home with bruises, scrapes, and cuts on him. He'd been arriving home like this more often. Not that you were any different. Heroes attacking your family villain group had increased. It often left you with luckily only some small injuries. Katsuki, I know you're a hero, but stop walking off like you're fine with injuries like this, he scolded him, gently placing a band-aid over one of his smaller cuts he's received. I was fine, Wyan. I don't need your help, he growled. You raised an eyebrow at his behavior. You raised an eyebrow at his behavior. Generally, his response was quietly saying, I'm sorry or thank you, then kissing you on the cheek. What's got you in such a bad mood today, huh? You asked. Stupid Deku being the #1 hero and getting to beat up that stupid villain, he grumbled. What villain? You asked curiously. That stupid fucking villain people call Shadow Queen or something. Punched that prick so hard they passed out. He goes way too easy on them. I'd beat that damn villain till they can't even move, he replied. This sent a wave of shock throughout you. Normally, you found it a bit cute when he would talk about villains. He always seemed so happy and hyper when he did. Bakugou really did act a lot like the Deku he's always despised and strived not to become when it came to talking about hero work. But now, he just seemed deadly, evil even. You were the villain Katsuki was talking about, practically murdering. Despite how much you attempted to not associate yourself with the villain, you secretly were. It was difficult in times like these. And in the incident earlier, Deku hadn't gone easy on you. Maybe compared to some of the larger villains he faced, punching you must have looked as soft as a slap with a feather. However, those larger villains were often larger in size, and that small hit hurt. You didn't get a concussion when you hit the wall. Burst through it really, due to the mask in your suit having some protective material to prevent. That didn't leave you injury-free. There was a nasty purple and blue bruise on your stomach where he hit you. It hurt really bad, but Katsuki obviously didn't need to know that. Please be careful if you do, he said, kissing his forehead. Of course, he replied, kissing the back of your hand. You blushed, as you always did when he acted so uncharacteristic. I'm leaning down to read it for some reason. Okay. Come on, Katsuki, I have dinner ready for us, he smiled as he stood up. You're amazing, YN. I should marry you already, he smirked, as he blushed dark red from his statement. The next week, your parents had brought you on a mission. There would be about 10 others with you attacking a hero agency. It was very early in the morning, about 4 a.m. Katsuki hadn't been home since he said he was on a mission that he couldn't describe to you for safety reasons. Why do we have to attack here, you asked? They have information on us that we can't let them keep, one of the people in the group explained. Like, what did I just do? I am so sorry. I just clicked off. Okay. I'm so sorry. Wait here, YN. Get ready. Let's say your mom at the front of the group said. You nodded, pulling the mask you wore over your face. It was black along with your costume, and both included several thick white lines. There was a symbol on the middle of your chest, the symbol of your family's villain group. You always thought it was the symbol was stupid, but everyone in the group advertised it on everything. It was a holy cross with a small X at the point of the cross. We cut the power. Go, someone said. Several people pushed you out of the hideout location. You looked around before entering the dark building. People inside were confused at the power outage, including the pro hero also present. Katsuki had introduced him to you once when you had to visit him at work. He was Todoroki Shoto, known by his highly creative hero name, Shoto. He was the current number 3 pro hero below both Katsuki and Midoriya. Todoroki had an amazing quirk, in your opinion. Half hot, half cold. His left side controlling fire, his left side controlling fire, and his right... Okay, it just says left on my side, so... Okay, it should be his right side controlling fire and his left side controlling ice. Even with using his fire sight to provide some illumination around the area, it provided no stop to you, easily slipping past him and the others on the floor. I got to the second floor past the pro hero, you informed the people listening in through the earpiece you had.
Great, the information will be on your third floor. The room won't be hard to find. It's labeled Data Archives, and I'll conduct you from there, the navigator replied. Can you see if there's... You wanted to ask for an outside status, but you stopped at what seemed to be an explosion coming from the earpiece. Your navigator and anyone else around had likely gotten attacked. You had to move the earpiece away a bit due to the awful ringing coming from it and in the aftermath of the attack. Shit, you muttered. It wasn't good that your only source of instructions had likely been taken out. Although you were a bit happy that they got attacked, you didn't support what they did and didn't want to be a part of it. So you were rather often rooting against yourself. Hardly a few minutes after the attack, a loud familiar voice came from downstairs. There's probably someone listening in. It's probably my brother. That or a cat is going insane. You never know really which one. Okay. Back to the story. Sorry for that pause. Hardly a few minutes after the attack, a loud familiar voice came from downstairs. There's a fucker inside. They cut the power. Katsuki's here. That must have been an explosion taking them out then. I can't fight him, I thought. Oh, I hit my closet door. Shadow. You heard your mother's voice utter your codename, the earpiece. You placed the earpiece back to your ear. You're getting that information no matter what. Fight if you have to. This could jeopardize our group and everyone in it. Fuck this group, you muttered quietly enough to not be heard by the earpiece. I'm getting out of here. It's not worth it, you said quietly. You heard footsteps coming up the stairs, creating a weapon out of the shadows for some protection. That boyfriend of yours has to keep off though. You wouldn't want anything bad to happen to him, your mom threatened. You couldn't. He's a pro hero. You don't have that power, you replied, a bit louder than you intended. We can and we will. Get the damn information, Warren. They growled before there was a cackle of them shutting off connection. It went silent. You couldn't even hear talking like you had prior from the floor below. You stayed incredibly quiet, trying to listen for anything. Eventually you heard footsteps getting closer and closer. Before people entered the floor, Todoroki looking calm as ever, and Bakugou looking like a maniac with the lighting from Todoroki's fire. I'll search the third floor. You look here. The villain could be anywhere right now, Todoroki said. I'll blow them up the second I see them, Bakugou growled, beginning to search the floor. You jiggled doorknobs, successfully entering some rooms. Yeah, someone's here. Either that's my cat or my brother is jumping really loudly. Don't know which one. It's getting on my nerves. Okay. Back to the story once again. This is what happens when your family is like this. He jiggled doorknobs, successfully entering some rooms. He exits not long after, as he obviously hadn't found anything. You gulped nervously. There was no easy way to get out from here. The only thing you could do was run for the stairs when his back was turned. It wouldn't be hard since he was entering rooms, but however, he could likely hear you, and sorry, I was reading one of your guys' comments. Okay. However, he could likely hear you, and you had no clue where Todoroki was on the next floor. Making a distraction was pointless, as all the shadows would stem from you. Therefore, he'd quickly find the source and attack you. Hey, come out. Wherever you are. Bakugou read. Oh wait, hold on. Hey, come out wherever you are. Bakugou randomly yelled into a room while sparkling his hands. It was an intimidation tactic. Afterwards, he slammed the door shut. That was more out of anger than a strategy. However, that door slam was what did it for you, and you let out a bit of a yelp at the unexpected loud noise. He obviously found you quickly. There you are, bitch, he growled. Bakugou turned towards you. You hadn't even noticed he had been charging up his direct shots until he was already beginning to fire it. You quickly formed a shield in time to block it, but the shield disappeared almost immediately due to the light created by his attack. I'm going to kick your ass, he yelled, hitting you a bit with a long-range explosion. It was a reckless move on his part in the building, which several people just downstairs, and he likely knew that too. The smoke cleared slowly, leaving you in both fear and anticipation for another attack. I'm going to kick your ass, he yelled, hitting you a bit with a long-range explosion. It was I already wrote that. Leaving you in both fear and anticipation for another attack. Ground Zero, what's going on? Oh wait. Ground Zero, what's going on? Todoroki was now running down the stairs. Once he reached the lower floor, he was greeted with his former high school classmate using the force of an explosion to launch the villain through the side of the building. There was no doubt the villain was out. He watched their body fly and was like a rag doll, hit the wall and then slumped to the floor. The light from the attack left you unable to do anything but become a rag doll. Your vision faded in and out, and your breaths were wheezy and weak. Let me see your damn pathetic face, shadow bitch, Bakugou said, a sinister smirk on his face. You saw that smirk sometimes, just to you, with a bit of softness in his expression to make it much less airy than it was now. No, he trailed off. Bakugou laughed. You're so fucking pathetic, and you're one of the worst villains. You couldn't even attack me. He walked over and could feel his gloved hand grabbing the top of your mask. He couldn't even feel your arms at the moment, much less move them to stop him. Katsuki pulled off the villain's mask. He was in shock for a second. He recognized that hair color hair, those eye color eyes. His girlfriend, you, YN Ellen, was the villain Shadow Queen. He talked constantly to you about his hatred towards the villain, but now he was conflicted. He hoped this was some kind of sick joke, someone's quirk trying to catch him when he's the most vulnerable. He'd even rather have this be a situation where you were kidnapped and forced to be a villain. But YN accidentally stuttered. I'm sorry, Katsuki, you coughed, finally passing out after saying those words. Ellen? Why is she here and injured? Todoroki made it down to the street from the building. Get the police and medics over here. Tell them that those guys attacked. I'll handle YN, he said, carefully picking you up. Todoroki suddenly connected the dots, saying, the mask and villain costume on and near you. Bakugou, we have to turn her in if she's the villain, Todoroki said quietly. No, we don't.
She wouldn't do something like this. She wouldn't do something like this unless she was being forced to. I'm taking her to the hospital and getting answers myself. If anyone asks, pin the villain as one of those guys over there. Bakugou gestured with his shoulder towards the guys from your team, currently passed out and getting tied or handcuffed by sidekicks. You're a hero, Bakugou. It's illegal to beat, Todoroki started. Fuck the law, he growled back. Todoroki saw the look in Bakugou's eyes, pain and sadness. He was clearly experiencing a range of emotions. Not only was his girlfriend in pain and unconscious due to him, but she was also a possible villain. Todoroki sighed, grabbing the device and checking to see the status of police. Even though they didn't exchange words to confirm it, Bakugou was sure that Todoroki was agreeing to go along. Katsuki felt a small bit of relief at that. He quickly rushed off to the nearby ER where you could be treated. Oh, I'm so sorry. Beep, 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 beep. A hospital? You wondered? The beeping sounds of machines and the bright lights led you to that assumption as you came back to consciousness. Everything was blurry, though, as you opened your eyes, and it left you a bit unsure. When your vision became clear again, you were able to look at your surroundings. You were hooked up to machines monitoring your vitals, and curtains surrounded your bed. My computer turned off again. Okay. We good? Good morning, Miss Ellen. How are you feeling? A doctor said, moving the curtains aside and stepping into your bed area. I'm alright. Your voice sounded like sandpaper. Oh, wait. I'm alright. Your voice sounded like sandpaper lined your throat, but it didn't hurt to speak. He nodded. That's good. I just need to check your vitals and such. If you're continuing to feel alright, then there's nothing we need to worry about. Are there any questions you have? What happened? You asked, watching as he looked over at the machine beside you and wrote down some numbers. Early yesterday morning, you were admitted into the hospital by a man who claimed to be your boyfriend, Bakugou Katsuki, or Pro Hero Ground Zero. Is that correct? You replied. You nodded. Katsuki is my boyfriend, yes. I don't know about the rest. Of course. I was just making sure that all the claims lined up. Early yesterday morning, you were caught up in a large-scale villain attack and got injured. You were very lucky for the circumstances and only had a few broken bones with a mild injury to the back of the skull. The most that will cause is headaches and perhaps a few migraines. Do you need me to repeat anything? He explained. You shook your head, allowing him to continue going. You remember most of what happened up until Bakugou began attacking you. Everything sort of just disappeared afterwards. Katsuki must have found out. He must have so many questions right now. How can I explain this to him? You're currently on a strong pain medication right now, so you might not feel that yet. We'll work out the prescription you'll need before you're discharged. You broke a few ribs and have a hairline fracture in your left arm and ankle. I'll have a nurse come in later to discuss the cast and how you'll take care of all of that. Everything sound good? You nodded once again. Great. If you need anything written down or repeated, I'll have your nurse do that. Is there anything else you need? He asked. No, I'm alright, you replied. Alright, ask the nurses if you need anything. You do have a visitor, your boyfriend Bakugou, who I mentioned earlier. Would you like me to send him up? He asked, his final question as he began to leave your area. Yes, please. You nodded. The doctor said something else you didn't quite hear before leaving the room. You waited anxiously in usually Bakugou fashion. He didn't leave you waiting long. Ryan! Katsuki flung the curtains open hardly even a minute later. What the fuck happened back there? What were
I need to know. He fumbled over his questions and quickly sat down beside your bed. I'm sorry that I didn't tell you before, he said, eyes watering. He kept silent to allow you to continue, and you did. You explained everything to him, starting with how you were born into villainy, the crazy missions your parents made you go on, how you feared leaving, and finally, how you ended up here. As you explained it, all the tears began slipping down your face. You had to pause at multiple parts when you could no longer speak clearly. Stop that. Fucking hate it when you cry, he mumbled, wiping the tears on your cheeks. When are you going to turn me in, you asked. You wiped the rest of the tears with the back of your hand. I'm not. For right now, everyone thinks the Shadow Queen is some bitch that was a part of the villain group at the attack. It's going to stay that way. You're a good person, Wyatt. You didn't choose to live this life or do any of that shit. It's not your fault. You're not the villain. Your shit parents are. We're going to live a much better life together, away from them, Bakugou replied. Even with the most reassurance you'd ever heard from him, you still felt unsure of it all. What happens if they come back to find me? What if they hurt you? They threatened to before, you replied fearfully. And you think anything can get past me? Please, I'll kick their ass before they can even lay a finger on you, he scoffed. You couldn't help but chuckle at his words. No matter how arrogant he sounded, you found it cute to no end. Thank you, Katsuki. I love you, he smiled. The ivy still in your arm made it hard to sit up to a certain point, so he leaned down to help and you pecked his lips. Whatever, he blushed. You smiled towards him. You might have had an unfortunate life, but you had one hell of a good boyfriend. That's all. This was a long one. Woo! Okay. So I hope you all enjoyed. I started tearing up again whenever I was reading it. I get too in character. This is what happens when you do drama and theater since 5th grade and you're... Okay. I hope you all enjoyed this. You get a nice almost 30-minute long video of Bakugou, because I know most of you like Bakugou. I'll try finding a Haikyuu one so that way the Haikyuu fans here are happy. Is my ring light is dying. I need to charge it again. It's not really a ring light. It's like this light that you can hook onto your phone and computer. I don't know. I need to recharge it again. It's not even really causing any light. I hope you all enjoyed this. Thank you so much for all the support. And I will see... Well, I won't see. I always say that I'll see you guys next time, but I can't actually see you guys and you can't see me. Thank you all. And I will talk to you all next time. Goodbye, everybody.